Hey guys, in today's video we are going to be painting several mini paintings, little canvases. I actually painted 8, which is nuts. I painted these over a couple days and it was really fun to paint so many different ideas in a short amount of time. I'm really glad I filmed it all. It's cool seeing them all kind of come together at the end. And this video is going to be pretty voiceover heavy with a kind of long plant segment in the middle, so if you're interested in that, stick around for that. I ended up finally repotting my ZZ plant, and you get to see that whole process, and at the end it's a little like Q&A, so stick around for all that if you're interested, and let's jump right into the video. I love painting small every now and then. It's way less intimidating than a larger canvas is, and it's actually something you can do to kind of ease your way into a larger canvas painting. You can do like a small painting study of it first on these little like mini canvases I'm doing here, and if it goes well, it will make it easier to start on that larger full-size painting. It's kind of like doing a more in-depth thumbnail of your larger painting in a way. Even if the mini painting didn't turn out the way you wanted it to, I'm sure you learned something by doing it. Everything that we paint or draw, we can always learn and take away something from it. So if it went bad, you can retry the mini painting by simply repurposing the canvas by painting over it, or maybe even go back to the drawing board per se and sketch out a whole new idea or composition and then try painting it again. Mini paintings are also just super cute. I think they look really nice hung on like a little gallery wall next to some larger artworks, or you can even display one on your desk on one of those like little tiny easels. They're like $1 or something. And I think that could be like a super cute idea too. Okay, so talking a little bit more about these paintings specifically that you're watching me do. I of course started out with some sketches and little like scribbly thumbnails of what I wanted to draw. I actually did these like sketches mainly on my drawing tablet in Clip Studio Paint, and I ended up with these sketches. I'll put them on the screen probably. I love how bright the colors are in these sketches, but I knew I didn't have like the exact colors of acrylic paint that can match the colors in my sketch. So basically, I just tried to mix my paint that I did have to match these colors somewhat, but they're kind of like less saturated versions of these colors, and I didn't want to go out and buy more paint, so I'm trying to use up like what I have before I go out and buy more. Plus, a lot of the neon colors aren't light fast, which means they will fade over time, especially with UV light exposure, like sunlight. I still really like how the paintings came out though, and I think the colors look pretty together even if they aren't as bright as in my initial sketch, but I still like to do these color sketches, so it takes kind of like the guesswork out of the final painting process. It makes it a bit easier for me. So again, I just use like the little color study sketch that I showed to kind of help me mix the paint colors and take that guesswork out, so that way I'm not sitting down to paint and I'm like, well, what color should this mushroom be? What color should, this flower be? I have it already pre-established, so I can just kind of mix accordingly, and it just makes it a lot easier. Something I like to do is to tone my canvas, and that just means painting a color of your choosing all over the canvas, even the edges, making sure that no white is showing. This is really good if you miss a spot when painting, or you purposefully don't paint little areas here and there. The tone canvas underneath shows through and can actually help to unify the painting, and it's also just like a really cool thing to see like little specks of color throughout the piece. So for these, I use a bright orange and toned my canvas with that. It's also kind of cool too because a lot of like the acrylic paints I'm using are pretty transparent, so that orange underpainting slightly shows through the colors on top, and again helps to unify the colors of the canvas. I know this is really common with oil painters specifically. They use like a warm or cool brown typically to tone their canvas, but you can use whatever color you want. And I'd encourage you all to try a few paintings with different colors as the underpainting, like a pink, blue, an orange, or a brown, and see how it affects the final painting. that might be a fun little project to do on mini canvases like these, and when you find a color that you like as the underpainting, you can start using that on your larger paintings as well. A little tip for you all, if you are going to do something similar to this and the idea of painting so many canvases at once seems daunting, try and limit the colors you use to only a few, like 4 or 5, especially if you have to mix your paint colors. Something I did with these paintings was to almost paint them in an assembly line kind of way. So I would mix a paint color and then use that color to paint whatever area I needed to on a few or all of the canvases that needed that color. And then as that color was drying, I would mix another color and do the same. Once I had the main shapes down and it was all dry, I could then go back in and paint any details on each one that needed it. So painting several little paintings at once can be a little easier if you do it in this way. Alright, so now we're going to get into the Q&A section of the video. I have a couple here, and if you're watching this and you have some questions of your own, feel free to leave them in the comment section and I will get back to you. The first question is, how do you balance getting into an art flow with filming? This one is kind of tricky because I sometimes find it difficult to get into a flow when filming, and if this happens, I do try to just keep filming, and sometimes it works out and I end up getting into a flow anyway. But there are definitely times where I start filming something and for whatever reason I just don't really want to continue filming, or I don't want that added pressure of filming, and so I stop. It's okay to not film everything, and sometimes just taking a nice photo at the end or a little pan across the finished artwork is cool too. But in order to make filming my work a little easier, I try to make it as painless as possible. So if I know I'm going to be filming for a couple days, I will set up my lighting and the tripods for them and leave them up so they are ready to go for the next day of filming. And I'm one of those people that hate setting things up, especially repetitively, every day or something, or multiple times a day. So just simply having my lighting and maybe even my workspace set up with the materials I need to make the artwork already done and ready to go makes it a lot easier for me to sit down and start filming. And I just use my phone to record. I don't have a fancy camera at the moment, so I can't really leave that set up, but for the most part I use my canvas lamp to hold my phone and act as a desk tripod, so I can get most of my shots with that, which is cool. And it stays attached to my desk at all times, so it's really easy to just pull that forward, clip my phone into it, and start filming. And it's also one less big tripod I have to set up and take up space in my already small room. Another thing I do is I record small bits of my process for the most part, anywhere from a couple seconds to maybe a couple minutes. And that kind of varies. If I'm recording an Instagram reel, I might take short 2-second clips here and there. Or for YouTube, it might be a few minutes at a time. And then once I'm done filming that shot, I'll press pause on the recording and push my canvas lamp out of the way so I can just focus on drawing or painting for a few minutes without a camera sitting in my view, and that helps a ton, I've noticed. So, in short, I try to have everything set up for filming that I can, and I leave it set up for as many days as it takes for me to finish recording. And I only record short clips of my work so I can have a longer time between shots where I can focus on my work and not feel pressured or constantly thinking if the shot is good or not. So hopefully that helps. Plant here. My theory is if I use this knife to kind of go around the edge and kind of pry it apart, it might help it release from the pot, because I don't have this in a nursery pot, it's just directly into the ceramic pot. So I'm I'm hoping it's not too much of a pain to get this guy out. Hopefully I don't break any of these stems, crossing my fingers. And then we can go ahead and repot it with some more soil. Hopefully that's enough. I think it will be though. But yeah, let's try and do that with minimal damage. Getting him out, I had to cover his leaves with this little paper thing. I stapled it together to hold it in place. He is definitely severely root bound, so I'm gonna loosen up these roots and then get him into his new pot. This pot is about an inch on each side, bigger than the initial, like the root ball itself, which is what you pretty much want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and backfill all of this with soil, give him a good watering, and put him back into his new home. I'm gonna let him hang out and kind of release any more water that he needs to from the soil, and then probably an hour or so I'll put him back where he needs to go. So I ended up putting him up here with the little water drain plate thing, and I think I'll do pretty well here. It's near the window and I can move him over every now and then if I need to. It might even slow his growth, which will actually be kind of a good thing so he doesn't outgrow this pot too fast. I did have a little bit of a casualty. One of these new growth stems actually popped off. So I think I might put him in some water and see if he'll grow some roots. But yeah, this is where he'll be living now. It's kind of on my little cubicle here that stores most of my art supplies. And he's near the window here, so he should be getting sunlight, but not as much. So it should help slow his growth a little bit. So maybe he won't outgrow this pot quite as fast as the other one. But yeah, now he's in a much better pot and he'll be doing a lot better. And here's what's left in the window. Just these 3 plants now, so they'll be doing really well over here as well. Alright, so change of plans. I ended up moving everything around in the room. So the black cubby hole that holds all my art supplies is now in the corner here. So the light kind of shines from the window a little bit less onto the ZZ plant now, but that's okay because they do pretty well with lower light. And yeah, I got a lot of canvases to go through on the left there. Yep, that's my new little setup for this corner of the room now. And the second and last question is, how long have you been doing art? And did you always want to be an artist growing up? This is definitely one of those typical questions I feel like every artist get asked at some point in their life. And basically I started drawing many, many years ago when I was really young. I don't even know how old. But I did take art classes throughout middle and high school, and I remember mainly using charcoal in the beginning. That seemed to be my preferred medium because I guess at that time I liked shading a lot more, and I think I just liked having that like tactile feel of like pushing the charcoal around. It was just really fun. But I really wanted to be a veterinarian and then later vet tech, and my last year of high school I actually decided to go to art college, and so I ended up doing that. I went to Savannah College of Art and Design at the Atlanta campus, if you're curious, and I definitely improved a ton going there. Like looking back at my portfolio to get into college, it like I don't remember making a lot of those artworks actually, and I'm shocked they let me in because it was not great, but I'm very thankful because I did learn a lot. But yeah, I started out majoring in animation, and I love 2D animation because I could draw and like it was fun doing it that way as opposed to 3D. But I didn't like the idea of working on the same animation or character for a long time. And like drawing the same things. So then I switched to majoring in visual effects because I really liked the idea of creating the 3D elements or like the environments in the background and such rather than animating a character, because it was heavily focused on character animation, which also kind of got me interested in concept art and like drawing or painting more for that kind of work. And then I finally just realized I just want to draw and paint things for my imagination or studies like still lifes and landscapes or whatever I want, pretty much. And being able to play with different art mediums like sculpting with clay, or hopefully in the future dabbling with making my own pottery or ceramics too would be awesome. So yeah, I finally got my major in illustration with a double minor in animation and visual effects. And I still use these skills I learned from 2D animation from time to time, like in the little toucan intro animation I use on my videos here. And it's fun to kind of revisit those skills every now and then, but yeah, I'm glad I ended up with illustration though. Those classes really helped me get better at drawing specifically. And I also took like some elective classes in painting and printmaking. So now I kind of use the printmaking stuff with my lino cut art prints I do every now and then. I've only done like 2, but I would love to do more, especially some bigger lino cuts. That would be really fun. And painting, we practice like oil painting and acrylic, and now I kind of gravitate more towards oil painting as well as watercolor. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into art and kind of how I came to be doing what I'm doing now. So I'm doing like art markets and stuff locally, and my online shop and Patreon, YouTube now. So everything kind of has led up to what I do now. So here are all the little paintings all finished and shiny from the varnish. I definitely really like the fig and little orange cat paw and fish. Those are so cute. They're so tiny, I love them. Let me know your favorites in the comments below. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you. And I want to quickly thank all my lovely patrons. You guys help me to continue pushing myself to make cool new artwork and allow me to kind of experiment with new ideas every month. And if you don't know, yes, I have a Patreon where I host a monthly sketchbook drawing prompt and I also make exclusive digital downloads and a print and sticker for every month. If that's something that interests you, you can check out my Patreon. There's no pressure though. Otherwise, stay updated with my work and shop update stuff on my Instagram. And thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next one.